Well, let's go ahead and get started. So, welcome everybody to At Home Songwriting. Some of you are new to the group, a lot of other familiar faces, and I'm super excited to have a guest joining us this evening. Really excited to learn, and we're going to be painting with words, which is going to be fun. But just wanted to give you a little bit of background on who our guest is tonight. So, our guest is Susan Cattaneo. Susan is one of Boston's most respected singer-songwriters. I may change that to the nation's most respected singer-songwriters, combining vivid storytelling with a modern songwriter spin. She describes her music as New England Americana. Her most recent album, All Is Quiet, is an acoustic tour de force recorded remotely during the pandemic with acclaimed guitarist Duke Levin and Kevin Barry. The album charted at number 2 and was a top 25 album of 2022 on the FAI Folk Radio chart. Susan has taught for 20 plus years at Berklee College of Music. She's helped students work on over 15,000 songs in all musical genres and styles and mentored over 2,000 artists. She is featured in Pat Pattison's books. She's written for American Songwriter magazine. She's charted on the Billboard Heat Seekers chart. And most importantly, she's just really awesome. So welcome to At Home Songwriter, Susan Cattaneo. Susan, welcome.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much, Chad, for having me. And I'm very excited to kind of teach this cool technique that I learned when I was a student at Berklee. And I won't say over dramatically, but I have to say it did change the way that I write songs. And I kind of never wrote a song the same way again. So I don't know if you'll be as moved by what I am going to teach you as I was, but it's just a really, really interesting, kind of cool little writer's technique that probably most listeners aren't aware of it. But I think as a writer, you can craft this. So the technique is called repainting or recoloring your chorus or your refrain. And what it essentially means is that your chorus or refrain line stays the same, but what happens in the verses or the verse pre-chorus makes it so that we understand the chorus or the refrain in a deeper and more profound way every single time the song comes around. So this technique is really all about verse development. So what happens in the verse makes it so that we understand the chorus or the refrain in a deeper and more profound way. So the way I like to teach this, I'm going to teach this in kind of like 3 different ways. I'm going to tell you some song examples, just speak them. Then I'm going to actually show you some song examples and we'll actually play the songs and we can talk about why they recolor. And then I'm going to actually share a song that does something that I don't want you to do. So in the first example, I'm just going to talk you through these songs. And I've probably made them my own. I'm not even sure that they're the way that I once heard them, but here is how I hear them in relation to recoloring. So the first song, the hook is, I'm almost over you, right? And so the first verse says, you know, it's been 2 years since we've broken up and I thought I'm over you. But the other day I opened up that drawer in the front hall and I saw that ticket stub from the concert that we went to. And I just suddenly flashed back to all of the time that we'd been together and I found myself crying. I thought I was over you, but I guess I'm not. I'm almost over you. Verse 2, notice I'm moving the story forward in time. I'm out with my new somebody and we go to a restaurant and there you are with your new someone. And I think to myself, no, I don't feel anything. But then she touches you, she touches your hand or she touches your face in the same way that I used to. And suddenly I remember what it was like when we were intimate together. And I find I'm just full of grief. And I thought I was over you, but I guess I'm not. I'm almost over you. Bridge. I realize that in this town, I'm kind of haunted by you. I've tried to move forward, but I really can't. And, you know, I think I hear your laugh all the time. And I know that you drive a red Ford Mustang And everywhere I go, I see this red Ford Mustang. And I realize that the only way that I can get past our relationship is to leave. So I pack up my bags and I get on the plane, and the plane takes off, and I look down and I see, oh, there's the city below, and somewhere you're there somewhere. And I guess I was over you, but now I'm almost over you. Aha, see what I did there? All right, so that's one example. Another one that I like is there's a really famous country song called I Sure Hate to Break Down Here. And the gist of it is that there's a woman and she's in her car and she's driving along, and the car has car trouble and there's smoke coming out from under the hood, nothing in the rearview mirror. And she thinks, oh no, I sure hate to break down here. Verse 2 turns into metaphor, where we talk about the fact that, I left behind a terrible argument with you, and, you said some really bad things to me, and I said some bad things to you. And, oh, now the tears are coming. I sure hate to break down here. So kind of like a literal interpretation. But you can actually be more subtle with this as well. Another friend of mine wrote a song called Still Life, which is this beautiful song about how the gist of it is, verse 1 is you and I were in a relationship, and, we're just static. We're not moving. We live in a still life. Our love is in a still life. Verse 2 answers the question, why? Well, it's no wonder I come from a long line of strong and silent men who never talked. And so, but I can't feel like I can't move forward with you. We are in a still life. And then the bridge says, but you're different than anybody I've ever been with. And I really want us to have color in our life. I really want to feel more than I do, because I know that deep inside me, there's still life. I love that one. I think that one's quite beautiful. So those are three kind of verbal interpretations of recoloring. Now I'm going to show you three songs. One is a country song. One is an old style R&B song. And the third one is a more updated modern song. And they recolor in three different ways. So we're going to talk about ways that you can recolor. I'm going to play the first song here. Let me bring this up for you here. All right. So first song we're going to hear is by an artist named Daryl Scott. It is called Long Time Gone. And one thing that's really important to note, I wish, is that the song is sung by the Dixie Chicks, but it is written by a man from a man's perspective. So that's kind of interesting. And so I'm going to play the song for you, and then we're going to actually talk about how this song recolors. So let me play the whole song for you. Just follow the lyrics. Okay. All right. So here is the song. The hook is A Long Time Gone. And notice that the way the hook in the chorus is constructed is we have the song title here. Then we have something called a swing line. So the swing line is something that changes every single time you come to the chorus. The swing line in this case is kind of a little hint of how it's recolored. Then we have the song title again. Oops. And then we have what is a long time gone. So I have a question for you. If you can tell me, what does a long time gone refer to the first time we hear the chorus? What or who is a long time gone? Anybody can call out. Any thoughts?
And you can speak up or you can type in the chat as well.
I'm just interpreting it as things ain't the way they used to be anymore, and there's a little bit of nostalgia, or I'm going to say necessarily regret, but it's really nostalgia about the things we used to be better before.
Okay, and what are the specific things, Neil, that are gone? So let's just look at this first verse for a minute.
Yeah.
So first of all, the guy who's singing the song is a long time gone, right? We get that? Yeah. Because he's not there anymore. But guess who isn't there also? Like, brothers found work in Indiana and sister's a nurse at the old folks home. So the family is also gone.
Oh yeah.
And then last but not least, but very, very important in country music, Daddy sits on the front porch swinging, looking out on a vacant field that used to be filled with tobacco. So in this first verse, we have the guy who's singing is gone. The family has gone, has broken up, and the farm is no longer there. So those are really important. If you know something about country music, farm and family are really important, right? Okay, then we get to verse 2. And verse 2, what is now a long time gone? Any thoughts? I'll give you a hint. All right, so we got what?
Church Sundays at church.
Church is gone, right? Faith is gone. And the way that we know that is that sitting out, she always thought that Delia plays that old church piano. So she's playing a church piano. Lord, I never meant to do her harm. Lord is in there specifically. Said she could hear me singing in the choir, but me, I heard another song and I've been a long time gone. So this character's faith is also gone. And because it is a heterosexual country song, Delia, the love interest, he's not together with her. So notice we have verse 1, farm is gone, family is gone, lead singer is gone. Second verse, we've gone to something equally important in country music, but deeper. Love is gone and faith is gone. So we've taken it from kind of like important, but now we're really kind of in the heart of the song. Then, yeah.
Question, back on first verse, the line that says, Mama, still cooking too much for supper. Isn't that like what it used to be like? So how does that play into the song if things are not what it was, but yet there's still something that was? Does that make sense?
Well, I think it's just the fact that, like, she's trying to hold on to a memory in this, kind of, she's trying to hold on to this big family that is no longer there. She's just overcooking.
Something. Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
So then we have this bridge, and in the bridge, the character goes to Nashville. He's trying to be a big star. He hawks his guitar. He's sleeping in his car, living from a tip jar. And then in a fabulous tour de force of songwriting craft, we get this last verse. And look at this last verse. Me and Delia, we got love back. Singing every Sunday, we got faith back. Watching the children, we got family back. And the garden grow, we got the farm back. So in a beautiful tour de force, in 2 lines, we get back all the things that we lost. And the song at this point, I always love rewriting the hits. The song at this point, what is a long time gone this last time, is country music, good country music. And Daryl does this thing that's a little bit punny and a little bit clever. And for me, I think a little bit like a bad gift shop at the end of the song. But the gist of it is that old style country music, that is a long time gone. And the way that he says that is, now they sound tired, but they don't sound haggard, Merle Haggard. And they've got money, but they don't have cash, Johnny Cash. And they've got Junior, but they don't have Hank Williams Jr. And so that's how he crafts it to say that country music just isn't what it used to be. And I have to say that for me, a more honest way of recoloring this song would have been, I got Delia singing every Sunday, watching the children in the garden grow, and all that burning for fame that I used to have, all that desire to be known, to be a star, that is a long time gone, because what I have that's really important is right around me. I think that would have been a better and more kind of tender and maybe more honest way to write the song. But it does recolor 3 different times. So this is a specific way to recolor. I'm going to put it in the chat. So the first kind of way to recolor is you take a song title and you have it mean, have it be, have it apply to different subjects. Taking us through a story. Okay, so that's the first way that you can recolor. If you happen to be a story songwriter, for those of you who are more kind of country-based, Americana-based, this type of recoloring will work for you. All right, now the second kind of recoloring is very different. It's a lot more subtle. And so if you happen to be a songwriter who's more in the R&B style, this is a way that you can recolor. So I'm going to play a Smokey Robinson song called Tracks of My Tears, and we're going to look at it from a lyric standpoint. I want to let you know I'm not going to include the part of the song that goes, I need you, because that actually wasn't in the original lyric. So we're going to ignore that part and just look at the lyrics as they were written. I think Smokey was trying to like fill in, and that's where that came through. All right, so hold on 1 minute. Give me a second. Oh, trying to find the document. Where are you? Hold on. Tracks of My Tears. Okay, here we go. All right, so let me play this for you. And notice it is written by a bunch of people. I'm going to open this document a little more. So we have Peter Moore and Marv Tarplin. Marv supposedly did not write it. He was just, I think, the publisher involved in it, but he did get a songwriting credit on this. All right, so here it goes. Play it for you. Totally different and much more subtle way. And the way that this recolors is what information in the verse makes it so that certain words in the chorus get more attention than others, depending on what's in the verse. So I'm going to prove that to you. And I'm going to just have you look at the first verse. So people say I'm the life of the party because I tell a joke or two. Although I might be laughing loud and hearty, deep inside I'm blue. So take a good look at my face. You'll see my smile looks out of place. If you look closer, it's easy to trace the tracks of my tears. So what information do we know? What has he told us? The only thing he's told us is, hey, if you see me at a party and I look sad or look happy, I'm actually really sad. That's the only information that we know. So who is the you in this first chorus? Who is he talking to? Any thoughts?
Is old flame?
I don't think so. We don't know that
like it
there's
could
an
be
old
that
flame.
or-
Speaking to us.
I think it's
He's
us, the
speaking-
listener.
Yeah, it's what the universal y'all, right? It's hey, you guys. So notice in this first chorus, there's not a specific you, which is like, hey, everybody, if you guys see me at a party and I'm really happy, I'm actually not really happy. I'm really sad. Okay, then we get to verse 2, and verse 2 suddenly has a focus. So we have, since you left me, if you see me with another girl, seeming like I'm having fun, although she may be cute, she's just a substitute because you're the permanent one. So notice our focus, our point of view in chorus 1 encompasses everyone. And suddenly, based on what's happening in the second verse, verse 2, chorus number 2 is suddenly like, zoop, it's suddenly to you specifically. So whether you realize it or not, because of what happened in the verse, when you hear the chorus, there's this, you know, since you left me, if you see me with another girl, right? Since you left me. So now, so take a good look at my face, you. Take a good look at my face. You see my smile, you specifically. So notice by what's happening in verse 2, the word you has suddenly had a different meaning. It's been given more attention. It's almost like I'm trying to think of like, it's a movie with like newsprint where like suddenly a word is highlighted. It's certainly a word has come out. So we've recolored this chorus. Now we have a bridge, and the bridge is outside. I'm going to actually put it on a different page here. So outside I'm masquerading, inside my hope is fading, just a clown. Oh yeah, since you put me down, my smile is my makeup I wear since my breakup with you. All right, so suddenly we go into a verse, which I have to say, it's really interesting lyrically, because up to this point, both verse 1 and verse 2 have been pretty conversational. We haven't really seen anything. Sorry, that's my mom calling. I will mute my mom. And suddenly we have visuals. Suddenly we have image stuff going on in this bridge. And what is the metaphor that they are writing to in this bridge? Anybody tell me? What is the metaphor? Who is he? He's just a what?
He's a clown dressed
Clown.
He's a
in
clown. He's a clown. And so how is he describing a clown? He's masquerading. His smile is his makeup he wears since his breakup with the person. Where does your smile happen? On your face. Where do you wear makeup?
On your face.
On your face. So I believe, however subtle it is, when we hear this last chorus, the word face suddenly has more meaning. So my smile is my makeup I wear since my breakup with you. Baby, take a good look at my face. We're hearing that line totally in a different way. I didn't pay attention to it at all the first 2 times it came by, but now I'm paying attention to it because the language in the bridge is leading me to kind of focus in and pay attention to that word, face. Now, a little side thing that I kind of like to just mention here that is also really brilliant about this song that isn't related to repainting, but is a cool thing anyway. A lot of students at Berklee know all the chords. They know all the chords, and there's just this chordal fabulosity that happens when they're trying to transition in and out of sections, in and out of pre-choruses, in and out of bridges, that they, the sharp 4 minor 7 flat 5, and then we're borrowing from modal interchange, and we do like a 2-5-1 of the 5-7, which gets you to right. We can do that. Chordal gymnastics are fabulous and do a wonderful job, but people often forget the subtle power that can be had in songs going from a duple pattern to a triplet pattern, or from a triplet pattern to a duple pattern. In this song specifically, notice what happens when we go, oh yeah, since you put me down, my smile is my makeup I wear since my breakup with you. So we suddenly go da 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 da. Great triplet feel. And what that does to the song is give us an increase in speed. It feels like the song accelerates beautifully into the chorus. So just a little side hint, when you're trying to kind of transition out of and into sections, think about the power of changing rhythm. The same thing happens, you can slow the rhythm down if you're going from a triplet feel to a duple feel. So it'd be like da 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 da. Notice it felt like rush, 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 slow down. So just a little side thing I kind of like to mention because a lot of people kind of forget the power of rhythm. So in this case, going back to a second way that we can recolor is we can create verses that allow certain words in our chorus or refrain to center stage. All right, so we can create verses that allow certain words in our chorus or refrain to take center stage. It's almost like we allow them, they're always there, but we allow certain ones to come forward. And this can be beautiful, especially if you have a refrain line. I don't know, for example, like morning comes down. Morning comes down would be our hook. And so maybe the verse talks about like evening, 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 because morning comes down. And then it'd be like, we're going to go and do this. We're going to go and do this because morning comes and goes. And then up, 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 and then morning comes down. So notice you can craft it so that even though your refrain line is the same, different words are going to come to the forefront of that. And that's a way to recolor it. All right. The last one. Oh, I don't know what just happened. I got a weird thing happening here. Sorry, let me stop that. The last kind of recoloring that we're going to do is a Sting song called Stolen Car, which I must tell you, I have a lot of thoughts about. I have thoughts that I'm going to call Sting up and have him rewrite the song, but we're going to hear the song first, and then I'll show you how it recolors. So hold on. Share the screen, Stolen Car. Here we go. All right, and let me play it for you. So here is a song. Let's just dive in here. So there are a lot of people in this song. We have the thief. We have the car, which has its own kind of personality. We have the company director, 2 kids, a wife, and a mistress. There are a lot of people in this song. And I think that, you know, I know that the whole premise of the song is a little bit hard to follow. So we have a thief who's stolen a car, who imagines who would be driving the car. And then we get the story of the guy who owns the car. So the way that this recolors actually is it changes point of view of who is saying the chorus. And so we're going to examine that. So we have the thief who now imagines the company director, 2 kids and a wife. But there's more to this one's life. There's some kind of complication. He tells her he's alone, the wife, spends the night with his lover. There's a trace of her cologne. And the words of his mistress, as she whispers them so near, start ringing in my ear. So the words of his mistress are, please take me dancing tonight. I've been all on my own. You promised one day we could. It's what you said on the phone. I'm just a prisoner of love, always hid from the light. Take me dancing. Please take me dancing tonight. So first chorus, the mistress is the one who is talking. And so anybody have any idea, how is the mistress a prisoner of love, always hid from the light? Tell me, how is a mistress a prisoner of love?
So if I'm understanding correctly, and I apologize because I've never heard this before, I would imagine she feels like he's ashamed of her, or we don't really get to spend quality time together. Maybe he
Exactly.
promised that he's going to leave his wife, whatever.
Exactly.
But you won't bring me out in public, so I'm
Exactly.
not good enough.
Exactly. So hid from the light means kind of the light of day, meaning the light of being out in public with her lover, right? Okay. Now, verse 2, or actually verse 3 now, I imagine his wife. She don't look nothing like a fool. She picks the kids up from some private school. She remembers what he told her. He was late and worked alone, but there's more than a suspicion in this lingering cologne, and the kids just won't be quiet. And she runs a traffic light and drives into the night. And she says, please take me dancing tonight. I've been all on my own. You promised one day we could. It's what you said on the phone. I'm just a prisoner of love, always hid from the light. Please take me dancing. Please take me dancing tonight. So when the wife says, I'm just a prisoner of love, always hid from the light, what does it mean coming from her?
She's stuck as a housewife taking care of the kids and he doesn't care.
Exactly. And so she's a prisoner of love in this family, and hid from the light, in her case, is probably the light of truth, right? Because she knows something's going on. So notice we have the same exact chorus, but when it's told from one woman's point of view, it has all the words have a different meaning when it's told from a different person's point of view. Okay, then I'm gonna rewrite the hits here. So then we have this tiny little half verse in the end where we go back to the thief and he says, so here I am in a stolen car at a traffic light. They go from red to green. So it's now stopping and moving, right? So I just drive into the night and then we have the chorus come back. I think it would have been really, really cool if the car were saying the last chorus. And the reason why I kind of suggest that is I believe in the same way that we have kind of a sexual relationship between the mistress and the executive and the wife and the executive. In this first verse, there's kind of an implied sensuality between the thief and the car. So let's just look at that. So it only takes a moment. Don't be afraid. I can hotwire an ignition like some kind of star. I'm just a poor boy in a rich man's car. So I whisper to the engine, flick on the lights. There is a little bit of sensuality there between the thief and the car. And I think it would have been so cool if somehow lyrically we would have had the car saying, rev me up, whatever. Please take me dancing tonight. Please take me driving tonight. And the only reason why that won't work, in a second, the only reason why that won't work is because we have this lame line of you promised one day we could, it's what you said on the phone. So I don't love that line. It feels like a rhyme, but I think it's actually a really cool, at least concept, at least. So think of changing point of view. All right, Jay, tell me what you got to say, Jay. You got a hand up.
I'm sorry, I was just curious because when you were mentioning that, I was kind of curious about the same. I'm wondering, is he talking to the car during this time
I think
as though it's his lover and he's coercing it? Hey, I'm going to steal you away.
Yes.
Here's the reason to get away because this is a bad guy. Everything is
Yes.
okay. It's okay that I'm stealing you because this is a terrible situation.
That's won't have his bone with you.
What? Oh, I'm not sure. But yeah, no, Jay, I agree. I believe that there is that element to it. And I think that he could have taken it one step further and that chorus could have really resonated if he had set up, because he kind of implies it, he had really set up this, like the car, especially because the car, a car can be sexually, like rev, an engine, whatever. There's a lot of kind of sensual elements about a car that he could have kind of come back to in this last part of the song. So yeah, I agree. I think so. I think it's implied. All right, so these are 3 examples of recoloring. This third way is you're going to change point of view. And notice that all the lyrics need to apply to whatever character you're writing to. So you can change the point of view of who is saying your chorus or your refrain, but notice that all the lyrics need to be addressed. So prisoner of love, hid from the light can be reinterpreted 2 different ways. And really a prisoner of love always hid from the light could have been the car, because the car, is driven by a boring company executive instead of by a hot thief who's going to really, rev the engine, right? Nia, what were you going to say?
Just a question about the Sting song. So, given that he didn't take your suggestion and make the last verse about the car,
silly man.
I'd like you to forward me his email so I can tell him that.
There, can't do that.
And but okay, so given the song the way that it is, what in your interpretation, the last verse where he's back to being a thief and just taking off at the red light, then what's the chorus referring to? What's the point of view there?
I don't think anything.
Anything? It's just
it's just a half.
In other words, he didn't follow through with the.
No.
Okay.
And he could have, but he didn't.
Right.
And I think it's implied, but he didn't. He just did a half verse. I went back to a thief, and here's the chorus again. Here's the chorus like a few times, actually. He sings it, I think, 3 times.
Okay, well.
Yeah. Anybody else? Any other questions so far? We're good? All right. So now I'm going to talk about a song that does something that I don't want you to do. And then I'll play the song. And then I have like a bunch of song titles, And, if we have a little bit of time, we can do just a quick like kind of brainstorm on some ideas for those titles. So there is a technique. It's not a technique. There is a thing that sometimes people do in songs that's called a travelogue. And a travelogue is a song that might have an amazing hook, might have an amazing chorus, but each verse is its own little ecosystem. They're not connected to each other than the fact that they service the hook. And so they're a self-contained little unit. And then here's verse 2, a whole nother self-contained little world. And here's a bridge or another verse, a whole nother self-contained little world. And the only thing that they have in common is whatever the hook message is. A lot of writers do this. I think Paul Simon does this. So, I love Paul Simon. However, when you write in travelogue form, where each verse is self-contained, you don't really get to explore anyone particularly deeply. You really don't get to have like character development in any way. You can't have a person in the song go on any kind of emotional journey because they only are there for that verse to serve that purpose. So I don't think it's very effective. It's almost like driving a car and you're always in first gear. Verse 1, first gear, second verse, first gear, I believe that if you have a character or an emotional thing that you're going through, develop it. So I'm going to play you a very famous country song that is a beautiful travelogue, and we will talk about that and why. Well, I'll just play it for you and then we can talk about it. It's old style country, i.e. like from the 80s. So get ready for some good schmaltzy country music. Here we go. Hold on. I've got to reshare it. Here we go. Written by Ty Herndon. There we go. Oh, come on. All right. So this song, I have to say, I think the hook is amazing. The title, A Man Holding On to a Woman Letting Go, is just a fabulous song title, right? But notice each one of the verses is only there as like a glimpse. Here's like, look at this. Oh, yeah, forget that. Now look at this one. Okay. And it has this feeling, I feel a little manipulated. I feel like, okay, I'm going to make you cry. Ready? All right. There, we're gonna have like a daddy walking his daughter. Oh, and then we're gonna kill someone off 3/4 of the way through the song, and I'm gonna make you cry. The problem for me with this song, I think it's beautifully written, and it was a huge hit. So, but we never really get anyone's full story. So we are not with the characters long enough to really care for them in any way. They're just, here's something, here's something, here's something else, here's something else. And everyone who I know who likes country music, who knows this song, forgets about verse 2. They all think the young lovers are the person that has the daddy who walks the daughter and are the couple who have to say goodbye in verse 4. Everyone forgets this poor man with a bottle on the other side of town. He's not even there in town. He's over there on the other side of town. I'm very worried about him because we only get to enjoy his story for 4 lines. Well, 6 if we include this little bridge section. And I'm just like, I feel a little deprived. If we had known him, if we had been through all of his struggles, then him having to say goodbye or him having to acknowledge that she ain't coming home, it would really resonate with us in a more honest and authentic way, I think. Yes, Wally.
Wouldn't that just be another song?
Yeah, it
I
would
mean,
be another song. I agree.
I kind of look at this as like a snapshot. Each verse is a snapshot, and it's up to the listener to interpret
Yeah.
what's going on, because we've all heard sad stories in our lives. And
I-
we could all probably relate to each one of these verses and make some kind of connection. So we know the person in every verse anyway. Kind of
I
a,
guess, yeah, I
kind
mean,
of a strange way to put it.
I completely agree with you in the sense that we're getting snapshots. But I think also that it's different than, like, for example, you know, there are list songs, right? So list songs like REM, It's the End of the World as We Know It, or Billy Joel, We Didn't Start the Fire, where it's about like, look at this and 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 look at this. I think this kind of sits halfway between those two styles of songwriting. And certainly, I mean, the song was a huge hit, so it's not going to preclude it being a hit. But I believe that if you create a character, I think that you'll get a more authentic read from your listener if you allow that character to live beyond just the verse. Just a thought.
It's like a gallery. I'm sorry, I don't know how to raise my hand.
Oh, hi, Hunter.
Hi. It's like a gallery where all these different pictures, and it's one man show. And, you know, they're all related, but they're not, you know.
Right, right. And for me, they all feel a little bit on the surface. You know, I'm not allowed to I'm not allowed in a way. There's a, you know, just kind of a side thing. There's another song called There Goes My Life. And it's about a guy who's in high school and he gets his girlfriend pregnant and he wants to go to California. And he goes, oh my God, there goes my life. There goes my future. And they get married, and he has the little girl kind of looks like the mom, and she's going up to bed. And he goes, oh my God, look at that. There goes my life. There goes my future. And then she grows up, and she's the daughter now is going off to college, and she's going to go to California, which is where he wanted to go. And it goes, there goes my life. There goes my future. And so for me, the fact that we have lived and loved and lost with this one character, when he says, there goes my life, there goes my future, I'm feeling it because I have experienced his life through a song. Richard, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I'm sorry, Victor, you're next.
Can you
Yeah,
hear me? Sorry,
yeah,
my
yeah.
internet's spotty. I'm just trying to like really understand the nitty gritty as to why the song doesn't necessarily 100% do it for you, because I got a little confused listening to it, to be honest with you, and I'd never heard it before. And I agree with you. I love the hook.
Yeah.
But when the first two verses, I immediately assumed we were talking about the same man and the same woman. Is
No.
that supposed to be the theme?
No, they're
See,
different
and
people.
that's what, because then I got lost.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like
Yeah.
there was a daughter, and then there's
Like,
some
where'd the daughter
dying. I
come
was
from?
like, right, where'd the daughter come from? And then
Yeah.
I thought the woman left.
Yeah.
Who the hell's hand is he holding?
Right. Well, that's what happens. Like mentally, we so badly want it to be all the same story
Yeah,
that we try.
I want it to be the love story
Yeah. Yeah.
that went bad, and
Exactly.
then sort of I guess here why is that kind
Exactly.
of why? Like,
Yes.
am I thinking clearly on this here?
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And that's, I mean, even like lyrically, there's a man with a bottle on the other side.
Right. And I can very obviously see that being like, I got divorced 2 years ago. I was the dude on the bottle on the other side of town from my ex-wife.
Yeah.
So I could see that happening, you know?
Sure. Sure.
But it's just all of a sudden, I'm like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
So, okay. Thank you.
Victor, what's your question?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, and I think Richard also hinted at a problem there. I think he tries to tie them together. He fools you, right? Because he uses a swimming metaphor in verse 1 and verse 2, so you think, oh, this is the same guy just several years later. And then it turns out to not be the same guy.
No, it's not.
And so that the thing that bothers me about it is, in addition to everything that you were talking about, is that this lacks a human emotion tying it together. What he's tying it together with are mechanisms. So it feels cold and lifeless, like a machine, that somehow he's then, like you said, manipulating you with these images, but not with real emotions, right? It seems like you've been dealt a cheap trick, right? That's
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, let's not trash Ty Herndon, because it was a big hit, and I'm sure he really worked hard on the lyric, and the lyric is beautiful. It's more the fact that it never goes below surface value. That's the thing, because every verse is different. We are not allowed to see into these people's lives more than just their verse. That's all. They serve their purpose. They write to the hook, and then we skip. And if we had a song like, if we had a hook that was like, life, it happens all around you all the time, then it'd be like, look at life. Here's life. Look at life. Look at life. Here it is. Life, it happens all around you all the time. That would be a song that would fit more of like a look at this, look at that, look at this, look at that. But I think a man holding on to a woman letting go, if that was assigned to one person and one person, we would feel it maybe more authentically. CJ, are you there?
Never find my mic. Hi, I couldn't disagree more. I
Okay.
feel like it's an incredible, it's like, it's exactly what happens to everybody. And I don't feel that is disjointed at all. The guy across, it's his wife, who's soon to be ex-wife maybe, who was with this new guy. And that's why he's drinking across town. I don't feel that's disconnected at all. And I just feel like it's a circle of life. And then he comes back to this, the original idea.
Yeah,
Huge.
I don't think they're related to each other. I'm not understanding them as related to each other, but maybe they are. I don't think,
Well, that was
the
my
fact that
impression.
the fact that there's a man with a bottle on the other side of town.
Yeah, it's the guy whose wife has left him for the guy who with now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't get that connection. It's possible it's there, but then I don't know who the daddy is who's walking the daughter. Who's that?
I don't know. It's more like I'm a person who needs to listen to a song and know everything about the subject matter. I'm not looking for a dissertation. I'm looking for something to touch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I would say go and check out that song.
It's love and loss.
Right.
The way that things go around,
Right.
It's life and it's everyone's experience. It's such a universal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely. But I would check out that other song that I recommended, There Goes My Life, because I think that does the same thing while not losing the thread of the story necessarily. But it's okay. I mean, it's all right. If it reached a lot of people, it really moved a lot of people. So I'm just saying that, you're not going to get like a full spectrum of someone's human emotion in one verse. That's the only thing. Yeah, Wally.
Yes. Yes, I agree with her. It was a very emotional song. But I also agree with Richard in that after the first two verses, I was wondering where the song was going, but then I picked up on it and realized each verse is a separate event. But I too held my mother's hand when she passed. So I could totally relate to that. And I started picking up what was going on. And 4 lines, whatever, I think it was 4 lines for each verse, that part or most verses is all you need, because it was so painful that you don't need to hear the story because you know how it plays out. I mean, from your own experiences, and you just kind of like, it's pretty heavy. 4 lines are heavy enough.
Maybe.
The situation.
Although I have to say, like, if you wrote a song where I understood what kind of relationship you had with your mom, if I heard what happened beforehand when you lost her, it would have great meaning, because I would know where it came from instead of just generic mother, generic loss. So
would that be something like the songwriter did not want to go that route on purpose?
I don't know.
You wanted to capture an overall of humanity, or
perhaps, yeah, it's possible. But I think that, what happens when a character only can live in a verse is that we just don't get a very deep look into that character.
Right.
Neil, what were you going to say?
Yeah, this is a really interesting discussion that's going here. And for myself, like I never heard that song before.
Mhm,
And when I heard it this time, I was given your pretext, Susan.
mhm.
So you set up the song as a travel log. So I fully expected the verses to be vignettes. I fully expected there not to be a unified story between the verses. I agree the hook is outstanding. The way that line just rolls off the singer's lips, just beautiful, right?
Right,
And
yeah.
and I'll admit, after the first two verses, I was thinking, okay, well, if he's going to be doing a vignette about all the different ways in which a man is trying to hold on and the woman is trying to lose, is he trying to say that this happens all over the place, that all women are trying to let go and the guy's trying to hang on? Is that the thesis of this song? But then I was absolutely delighted to see another story of a different guy
Mhm.
who's giving away his daughter at a wedding, which is it's a happy spin on the same idea,
Yeah.
right? And then the final verse, which is an inevitable
Mhm.
spin on the story, like this is going to happen,
Yeah.
right? To
Yeah.
everyone that you love, and especially your parents and whatever, all that sort of stuff, right? So to me, it was an interesting little vignette, and but more important, moreover, that the songwriter did not set up to do one character play through the thing. And you're right that maybe a man holding on to a woman letting go is not the correct way to unify all that stuff. And maybe but the notion that the first verse, the third verse, and the fourth verse are all the same people. I mean, the verse with the wedding, wouldn't the lyric have been, and now this guy is going, and now this man is giving away walking his daughter down the aisle, as opposed to here's another man, like it wasn't another, but you know what I
Right.
mean? Like it to me, it's sort of, they did sort of sit as separate stories, and I wonder if your pretext to presenting the song put that in my head already, so
Mm.
it was kind
Yeah,
of a given going forward.
I
So I
don't
mean,
thi-
but I think the thing, because the songwriter set up that way, I'm not looking for a story
Mhm.
that's
Mhm.
or even characters that are deep, because we know we're going to be, otherwise, if you want to explore all the different aspects of this idea, then, and you want to go deep on every single character, this thing's going to be a novel. It's not going to be a song.
Right,
Right?
right.
So yeah, that's my feeling on it.
I mean, I think if we were going to write different vignettes, I have to say, like, I wish the bridge section said something about that. I wish the bridge was like, yes, this is how women, we love and we leave and we hold on and we let go, because I think that would have tied it all together instead of it just being these isolated little moments. It's not that it's bad. It's just something that, as far as recoloring, it only recolors skin deep. Susie.
Yes,
And then
thank you for,
Juju.
can you hear me? Can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So thank you for this interesting discussion. So I was thinking the same. I'm quite disturbed by this song. And at the same time, I thought that CJ, I relate to what she said about the way that we can imagine, maybe create the connections by ourselves. But I was thinking, would you address the same criticism? I'm French, actually. And in France, there's a typical genre of the song list. I don't know if it's very common in the US, meaning each line will be about a different topic, and you will have a hook or a chorus which will create a connection between all these things. So you will add different things. And I think it's quite hard to write this kind of song. Like, some are great, some are awful, because you have the same problem as you said. You will have different vignettes, but it's 1 or 2 lines each time.
Exactly.
And you have to create a connection, but it's the chorus or maybe a
Exactly.
bridge and chorus. So what do you think about this kind of, I don't know if you see what I mean, but what do you think about this kind? Would you say the same criticism can be applied to this kind of song, or it depends? There's a way that you can create a connection and so on.
For me, the fact that the song is sitting kind of not in one place or in another, it's kind of in the middle. So it's that example of that REM song that's like, it's the end of the world as we know it, right? That has like, here, look at this, look at this, look at this. And then we have, Billy Joel, We Didn't Start the Fire, which is like, it's just a list song. So it's this and 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 this. And here is a chorus that ties them all together. And here's this and 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 this. And here is the chorus that ties them all together. I think the song is trying to do both things. It's trying to be general and specific at the same time. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the fact that things feel a little superficial to me.
Mhm.
Juju, what were you going to say?
I understand what you're saying, Susan. I really do. This song reminds me a lot of Bonnie Raitt's song, I Can't Make You Love Me. And I was just thinking, wow, if she had treated her song the same way this guy had, and that was to recolor it, it would have made it would not have been the hit that it became, Bonnie Raitt's song, because it's so personal. He was talking about
Right.
and why would you go, over here and talk about someone else over here and over there, you know, uh, with this context,
Yeah.
but somehow this guy made it work,
Yeah. Well, and I think, I think that the lyrics are really well written, and I think that the hook is really good. So, it's certainly like a well-written song. I'm worried about that man with the model of the other. I really want to know what happened to him. Why, what happened? What is that relationship? Chad, were you going to say something?
I have a couple things, and then I think Angel, I saw that you were raising your hand, so I don't know if you have a question. So I'll let you go.
Okay. It was pretty much. I kept listening to everybody's discussion and agreeing and disagreeing. I guess the one question I had is, as someone writing a song, you write what you know, right? Or write what you feel. And I'm wondering if the writer came to this song based on his own experience. But the first verse, I thought of myself being young at that moment, not necessarily being at the the swimming, but maybe that first moment when you encounter someone you love. Having troubles, Rich, I appreciate your vulnerability, sharing what you shared. I think that was great insight, because then he picked up something on that when he was talking about walking the daughter down the line. I thought of myself walking my daughter down the line, and so on and so forth. So I'm wondering if that maybe doesn't have some validity to have a song written like that, because it's somebody had commented that it was like a drive-by kind of a situation. There was a lot of information there, but for me, I've kind of resonated with pretty much all of them, even the passing of the mom. So I was just kind of wondering how much of that is maybe personal to him.
It could be. I don't know. That's actually, I'm going to research after this meeting. I'll find out if he actually said anything about writing the song, because I don't know. It would be nice. Wouldn't it be nice if we knew that? Wouldn't it be nice if the bridge
Sure.
said something about, like, all of these things have happened to me? Like, wouldn't that be nice to have that? And maybe it's implied, but I don't think so. Anyway, Greg, what were you going to say? Are you there, Greg?
Yeah,
Hi.
I was just going to say that, I actually don't have a problem with this type of song either. And going back to the Billy Joel reference that you made, he is probably 98% of his songs are all singular story based. Piano Man, Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, all of those. It had to be fun for him to do a list song, because it's different. It's different in his catalog. I've seen him in concert. When he does that song, it's completely different than all the other songs.
Yeah.
So while it doesn't maybe have the emotional heft that some of his other songs do, it's certainly a creative jolt in a different direction than other things he's written.
Yeah.
Of course, he's writing for himself, and other guys might be writing for other artists. That's different, I suppose. But I still think it has value for that reason.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Please, but hopefully nobody understood that it didn't have value. Like, list songs are amazing. They're wonderful. They usually, though, do more than this song does. So this song tried to be like, here's a scene. And list songs are usually like this and 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 this. And here's how I feel about it. So there's usually more in it. So it just sits kind of in a middle place.
What did you think, Susan, about it? Would seem like it's all couplets too.
Yeah.
Like the whole song is couplets. Do you think that has any effect on making it feel like, it kind of makes it feel a little bit disjointed, because it's kind of like start, stop, start, stop?
Yeah. I mean, I think I just think that for me, it's like skipping a stone on
Yeah.
a lake. We're just skipping, and there are icebergs below that we could be writing about. There are,
Was there a video, do you think? What I wondered was if there was a video and these were like little snippets in the video, because that would have made more
Probably.
sense to me, but
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Who knows? I'll look afterwards. Neil, and then I have to show you these song examples because I don't know how long we have tonight,
Yeah,
but
so sorry to interject again.
We're
Just
good.
just one quick follow-up thought. I'm wondering now,
yeah.
Is this kind of interpretation genre specific? Because like you say, it's only surface deep. I didn't necessarily find these vignettes to be surface deep. They're not. They're maybe not as emotionally deep as some other country songs. Not that I know
Right.
very little about country music,
Right.
but as far as I know, the deep country songs get really, really deep, right? But compared to most, stuff, pop, rock, whatever, this is pretty emotionally resonant. Like it's a feeling based song in my world, because I'm listening to a lot of pop stuff and rock stuff that doesn't get anywhere near this level of emotional depth. So I wonder if it's compared to other country songs, it's surface deep, but compared to some other genres, maybe it's deep enough.
Maybe. I mean, I think like I'm not sure. I'd have to for like Paul Simon, as I said, Paul Simon occasionally writes in travelogues, and I'm a huge Paul Simon fan. So for him, I think he kind of like meanders through things, but he always kind of brings it back to something. Like his songs have, like, instead of repeating the verse, his song will actually have a verse that doesn't relate to it, but then the bridge usually brings those two verses together. We understand, in the same way that I would suggest in this song, if he had said, oh, all of these people and all of these lives I've experienced myself. Like if we had a section that kind of tied all these images together, I think it might have been more effective. I don't know. That's a really interesting question. I mean, lyrics in different genres are a whole different thing, right? So sometimes lyrics don't necessarily have to make sense. They can just convey a feeling. But I think when you're talking about recoloring, I mean, a really good example of another recoloring song is the Kings of Leon's Use Somebody. They could use somebody. I don't know if everybody knows that song, but they interpret that the lyrics are kind of like, you kind of read in whatever you want them to be, but it's pretty clear that he is saying, I could really use somebody, in like a kind of aggressive way. And then I could really use somebody, like a body, someone to be close to me. And then the last one is, I could really use somebody, meaning I'm lonely and I could really use somebody. So that's more of a modern song example that doesn't use a travelogue. I'd have to research and find out if there are other genres that have travelogues in them. The only one that I can think of off the top of my head is the Paul Simon one. Like Boy in the Bubble, I think is a travelogue. So you certainly find it in songs. It's not that it isn't there. It's more the fact that I think that if you create a character, I think it's important to kind of let them go on a journey in your song. Or if it's about you, I think it's important to kind of take us on a journey with you, so that when we get to the end and something happens, someone passes away, or you are really happy at the end, we've been through all of this with you, if that makes sense. Yeah. Cool. So Chad, how much time do we have?
As much as you want to give us. We're good.
All right. So let me just, oh yeah, sorry.
Probably till like 8 Central is usually, that would be a couple of hours. We don't have to go that late though.
Oh my Lord. Okay. Well, let's not do that. That's too long. But what I'll do is I want to talk about a concept called prosody. And then I have 25 song hooks that I thought I would present, and we can do a little bit of writing on them. So prosody is when the structure of a song and all the elements that go into a song match what the song lyrically is trying to say. So what are some of the things that go into making a song, right? We have the chords, we have the melody, we have the rhythm, we have the rhyme, we have the number of lines, we have the length of lines, and we have the type of rhymes that are used. All right, so let me just do that one more time. We have the melody, we have the chords, we have the number of lines, the length of lines, the rhyme, and the rhyme type. When all of these are working harmoniously together, they can create a certain kind of feeling in a song. So, for example, if I wanted to have a song that felt really balanced, like if the theme of my song was summer and happiness and ice cream and good friends and great wine and yummy barbecue, I probably would want to set my song with in a major key. I probably wouldn't have too many chord changes in it. I probably would have 4 lines in the verses. I might use perfect rhyme at the end of those lines. They might all be roughly the same length. So we have an even number of lines and they're roughly the same length. And maybe I'll just use the same pattern. So I'm not switching from duple to triple pattern, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the song is going to feel really stable. However, if I want to create a little bit of texture to my song, right? I want to create a little bit of maybe uncomfortableness in you, the listener, in hearing the song, I can manipulate the structure of the song to actually support what I'm trying to say lyrically. So if I use, for example, different line lengths, so maybe long line, short line, long line, short line, you're going to feel a little like, wait, what's going on? Or if I use not perfect rhyme, if I use family rhyme or assonance rhyme or consonance rhyme, then I'm going to feel like, oh, the connection is a little, it's not perfect. So I'm feeling really uncomfortable with that. Or I could use it in a major key and then go to a minor key. That's going to have a feeling of like, oh, the sun is out. Now it's cloudy, right? And what you can do actually, which songwriters don't realize, is you can actually use the structure of the song to support what you're trying to say lyrically. And then you can recolor that as the song goes on. So some kind of obvious examples of that are, stop in the name of love, right? Stop, it's on the word stop, right? Or the Garth Brooks, I got friends in low places. Low is the lowest word in the song, right? There are a lot of examples of this. And what's cool about this is that it's almost like the way I picture it, like the songwriter is like the master, not a puppeteer, but definitely like the master behind, who's doing all of these things to kind of make you feel a certain way. So I'm going to give you 25 song hooks and I want you to try, and we're going to do a little write-up. So what I'm looking for aren't lyrics. I'm looking for like a paragraph that says how you would recolor this song. So I'm going to show you an example of that. Hold on. Hold on. And then I'll present you with the song title. So hold on. No, that's not the right one. Give me a second. Okay, so this is an example of what we're going to try and do in tonight's class. I know that it's not music, it's just words, but we're just going to, this is what we're going to try and do. So I took a title and here is how I worked it out. So my hook was watching the rain come down. Verse 1, a couple is in a car late at night. They're coming home from a party. He's been drinking and so she's driving. There's a tense silence between them, and it's been like this for a long time. Outside, the weather is stormy and angry, just like she feels inside. The rain hits the windshield and feels like it's never going to stop. She's driving into the dark and watching the rain come down. So notice first verse, totally superficial, just taking the title as it actually is, right? Verse 2, Back at the house, he stumbles up the stairs. She knows that in a moment he's going to be sound asleep and snoring in their bed. She doesn't want to go upstairs and be in the same room with him. She wonders if this is the end of their marriage. So many years of silence and betrayal. She sits in the darkened living room and stares at the pictures of the two of them that line the mantel. Each picture takes her to a memory. She used to feel like their life was blessed and that the sun shone down on the two of them in some special way. Now it just feels like she's watching the rain come down. All right, so I've taken it, changed it to a metaphor. Bridge or verse 3. He wakes up in the morning and comes down for coffee. She's been up all night and her bags sit packed in the front hallway. He barely notices her until he sees there's no breakfast on the table. They start to argue and she looks impassively on as he gets more and more frustrated with her. This isn't the first time he's been angry or the first time he said he won't drink anymore. She doesn't hear him because she's made her decision to leave. His words are like water to her. They shower down on her, but make no impression. She's just watching the rain come down. So my notes. Having done this write-up really quickly without great thought, two things come to mind. First, I'm searching for hooks that might be fresher than what I came up with, or lines that I could use in my potential chorus. I like silence and betrayal. I thought that was interesting. I also like words are like water. I thought that was a really cool hook. The second one is pretty cool. I like the W alliteration thing, and I might be able to recolor it using the same story. If I were going to write this song, I might revise this to write to words are like water. So this is what I'm looking for from you guys this week. All right. So I will share with you at the end of class or with Chad, I have a song called Dry, which I wrote that has the line words are like water in it. So I will share that with Chad later and he can share that with his people. So what I'm looking for is in paragraph form, we're just going to talk our way through the song. I think it's important that if you write this, that you be authentic, right? So I had one student who her song title was Looking for Hope. And she wrote this song about this couple who were trying to adopt a baby and they were looking for hope everywhere on the internet. And then they adopt a baby and then they name the baby Hope and they're at the airport and they're looking for hope, which is awesome. Okay, totally cool. And I said, so are you adopted? And she's like, no. I'm like, do you know anyone that's adopted? She's like, no. I'm like, well, so it's a song for you just took the hook and you write something, but what could be something that you could relate to while you were singing? Like, what is something in your life? And she's like, well, you know, I'm the first person in my family to graduate from college. And I come from an immigrant family from Mexico. And, you know, my dad has just held down 5 jobs so that we could all go to school. And I said, how could you reinterpret looking for hope in his story? And she wrote this beautiful, beautiful song about looking for hope. And it was like looking for faith and looking for hope. And it was her father's story and her father's story about what he wanted for her, that he was always looking for hope for her to have a better life. And the song was just a whole lot more real, I guess. And when she performed it, she really felt it when she was performing it because it related to something that she really could understand. So I believe that the best songs do that. So I've come up with 25 prosody related song hooks that are pretty generic. So you can find whatever story you want to tell and frame them on these hooks. So here are the hooks. I'm going to put them in the chat and I'll also share the document. Hold on. Here we go. All right, here are the song hooks. And I'll also share the document. Here you go. All right, so I will read them down to you. You're just bringing me down. The sky's the limit. Dive, 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 or just dive. It's coming around again. Stop and go. Caught in the waves. Stumble and fall. taking off, lush, I'm wide open, spinning away, racing down the hill, upside down, rise, build me up, and the quiet comes. The door swings shut. Meet me halfway, tiptoe around my past, roll me back, floating above the earth, soda pop, sugar rush, or melt. So feel free to take any one of these hooks. You can combine them, you can change the verb, but let's do just a quick 10-minute write to try and figure out how could we recolor these titles. So notice we're going to either reinterpret the title, or we can change the point of view of who is saying it, or we can make it so that certain words come to the forefront based on what is described in the verse. But I want to try and write in paragraph form, and then we can share if you want to. Okay. Anybody have any questions? No, we're good. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. Let's just see what happens. It's going to be awesome. And as I said, I'll share this document with Chad as well, in case you want it for later. Okay, so I got my timer on. 10 minutes, and let's start. Let's see what happens. Okay. Okay, that is 10 minutes. Woo! Did it feel fast? Did it feel slow? So before we share, I just want to show you an example of a song lyric that I wrote that does something also a little bit different, that also recolors, not the same thing, but here's a song that I wrote called Lies Between Lovers, which I got from the hook and the door swings shut. I wrote on it and it became, I like this that came out of that writing. Notice, troubles hiding like a telltale heart, beating softly in the bedroom dark, watch the world as it falls apart. 3-line structure, an odd number of lines. Second verse, you fill the spaces with an empty kiss, say our love would never come to this, sure I'll forget and I'll forgive. 3-line section, unbalanced. Then we have the chorus, the lies between lovers, tangled truths that pull us under, words as careless as a lipstick's red, temper flaring like a cigarette, and little ones between us taking cover. That's what lies between lovers. So notice I've reinterpreted, recolored the hook actually within one section as well. So that's something that you can also think about doing. That song is on Spotify, so you could just listen to it if you want. I won't play it for you now. All right, so let's share. If who wants to go first? I'd love to hear what you came up with. If there's anything that you want to share, who wants to share? Raise your hand on the Zoom.
Yeah, and the Zoom reaction, the raise hand function is under reactions for those of you who aren't familiar.
Yes.
So.
Anybody feeling brave? Greg, yay! Greg, you go first.
All right, I chose And the Quiet Comes.
Nice.
And what I figured was first verse could be a single young mother with a child that has colic and will not be quiet. And after explaining her situation and the stress she's under, and the kid adding to the stress by always being loud, when she finally does get the child to sleep, then we'd have the section And the Quiet Comes. Second verse could be now the girl's a teenager and they fight all the time. They're similar, but because of that, they fight all the time. And lots of yelling, screaming, and slamming doors. And the daughter will slam the door, sit in her room, and give her the silent treatment. So therefore, at that point, then And the Quiet Comes means that. And then
Nice.
The last verse would be the girl's going off to college. They've mended as the girl got a little older. And so now they're on decent terms, but now the girl is going off to college. And afterwards, now she goes and sits in her daughter's room and the quiet comes, but now it means something different because it's more mournful or
Yeah. Awesome. That will totally work. Yes. Yes. Great. Really nice job. Also, think about it. So, And the Quiet Comes. How does that sound? How would you sing that? Right? Do you sing? Are you a singer?
sometimes.
Yeah.
How
So
would I
maybe,
sing?
yeah. How would you sing And the Quiet Comes? How would you set that title?
Didn't think about that.
Hmm.
I would probably do more plaintive, more soft. It has a
Right.
kind of a soft vibe to it, so I would probably do that, and
Right.
and sing it in such a way that the first one is more, well, first two would probably be a little more in desperation or frazzled
Yes.
nerves, but then the third time would be more, like you say, more longing or resent or regretful or
Good.
yeah,
Good.
that sort of-
Awesome. Awesome. Great. All right. Richard, what do you got?
Okay. So I decided to go with the sort of write what you know philosophy.
Mhm.
And at this point in life, I don't really care about being vulnerable in front of people I don't know. So I have a girlfriend in Houston and I'm in San Antonio for family reasons. And so we're long distance. So I chose Meet Me Halfway.
Nice.
And she just got divorced and has a kid in Houston and she's going to stay there so that she can be around her dad, which I completely respect and understand, but it obviously causes complications. So this is my 10-minute attempt to color and recolor. And I went to high school with her. She was my homecoming date senior year. and we kind of reconnected when I came back to San Antonio. So basically the first verse is like we met and reconnected, clicked, started talking, then really connected. But you live in Houston and have a daughter and an ex that keeps you tied to there. I'm in San Antonio, stuck with my own stuff. Can we find and meet halfway? Verse two, it's only been like 5 months. So we see each other time to time. For now, every 3 weeks or so is fine. But we're growing closer so very fast, and that's eventually not going to be enough. How we're going to continue to go at this pace. There's a hotel I know 90 miles from you and 90 miles from me. I know it's just a Tuesday night and it'll only be dinner in a few hours to ourselves, but can you meet me halfway? We've known each other for more than our fair share of years. Our relationship has its challenges, but I know our love is sincere and I know we can make this work, but eventually halfway in between us isn't going to be good enough. Verse 3, I know he's going to be around for a while for the rest of our lives together. He's got a daughter to raise, and I do want him to be in her life. That goes without saying. You can't move from Houston, and I don't know what the right move is, but this is too important to both of us. How do we find where halfway is?
Nice. Good. Good. Awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate your sharing some personal story here, because I think that it really is beautiful. It really resonates really nicely. And Meet Me Halfway, I love that. It's going to feel authentic when you sing it because you actually live it. Nice.
Well, I can't
Good.
save my ass.
So just thinking about this, there's a song called The Middle, which is Maren Morris and written by a guy named Zed. And the melody goes, why don't you just meet me in the middle? I'm losing my mind just a little. So that note is the middle. Why don't you just meet me in the middle? So I wonder if Meet Me Halfway could be melodically something that does something where it goes up and down and then finds a halfway point melodically. Just a thought.
That's brilliant.
That. Okay, cool. All right, Ron, what do you got, Ron?
I love that song in the middle. I went with Caught in the Waves. I don't know if I have a long explanation. I try to be optimistic in life, and everybody has garbage that comes their way. And so you try to use it to step up and be what you could be. And I don't know if I did it right, but I did my 3 paragraphs, but I did kind of like a paragraph or a chorus as well. So what I've got is caught in the waves of life, doing what everyone else is doing. Everyday mundane tasks that go nowhere. The waves of normality beat me down from what I could be. I'm gasping for air. Let me go free. In the midst of this, and for the second part, in the midst of the circle of life, I know there's a great escape to rise to the top and ride the waves and look down on my adversity. And then for the third, I've got a life of adventure where adversity is an exercise to build me up, a current that makes me stronger. I reach for the heights that take me outside of myself to be caught up into the waves that lead me to a more enriched life. And for the chorus summary, I've got the waves come crashing down to rise me up higher and higher. The waves beneath my feet serve to carry me to the place that I could reach higher and higher.
Good, good. Yeah. So that would be an example where the first verse is really going to write to the word caught, right? Because it's about the negative, the mundane. And then the middle verse and the last verse are kind of reinterpreting waves, what waves mean. So one is waves lifting me up. The other one is waves as a current to take me somewhere else. So yeah, so recoloring that really, really nice. Good.
Thank you.
So what kind of music is going to feel a little wavy? Like what kind of, maybe some repetitive arpeggios, right? It's going to feel wave-like. So think about that when you try and put music to some of those lyrics. Good. Nice.
Thank you.
Hazeline, finally a girl is going to talk. All right. I want to hear.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right. Okay, so I was taking the, I'm
just tried to take two of the hooks and then put them together with some prosody. So here's what I got. I miss your warm embrace, the smile you put on my face. You built me up far above the sky. Now you're bringing me down. Well, actually, it's I had, but now when you are around, you're just bringing me down. That's sort of. I had to put something at the end.
No, that's good. That's good. It's awesome. Will you tell me your lyric? Because unfortunately Zoom keeps cutting out in the audio, so I could hear most of it. Very nice voice, very nice piano playing. What are the lyrics?
I miss your warm embrace, the smile on my face. You built me up. That's when I go up. Far above the skies. But now when you're around, you're just bringing me down when I go down.
Good. All right. So once you've got that, how can you recolor it? Right. So the first time we have this emotional thing of, you used to bring me to the sky, but now you're bringing me down. So I get sky and down. So you could recolor it in the sense of like, maybe the second verse is about what it is to feel grounded in a relationship. Right. So it's like, you talk about the earth and you talk about like the fact that like, my hopes used to fly, but now they're just on the earth. Because then you're bringing me down gets ground. We get like down. So that would be a way to recolor it. Right. And then if you want to take it a step further, you'd be like, okay, well, this is, I don't need you anymore. Like, I don't need to feel grounded. I want to feel like I'm untethered. I want to feel like I don't belong on the earth anymore. I want to feel like I'm not, I'm not held down by you anymore. So then you could talk about bringing me down because now I'm up, right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're taking the word down and we're just recoloring it 3 different times, right? Nice. Good singing. Love that. Neil, what do you have?
Okay, this to me feels very, very preliminary.
Yeah.
I didn't really get around to writing like full paragraphs. They're more kind of phrases and thoughts and things. So the hook I chose was stumble and fall. And that one resonated with me to tell the story of a health scare I had about 1.5 years ago. I did have a heart attack. And so I'm trying to recolor stumble and fall in 3 different contexts. So the first part is my body didn't feel right, a sudden tightness in my chest, tried to walk it off. That should work like it always did before, but it doesn't. And now I'm afraid I'll stumble and fall. Called you for help is the second part. Called you for help. You dropped everything and ran to catch me. Even though you're busy, you wouldn't let me stumble and fall.
Nice.
The third part, doctor warned me, you better walk a straight line now, and you got to put in the work so you don't stumble and fall.
Great. Awesome. Yes. And so also think about the fact that another way you could also think about it is that your heart stumbled and fell, right?
Yeah.
So that might be a way to talk about the first verse. That would be like, what do you do when a heart stumbles and falls? Literally, and then figuratively. Love that. Really, really nice. Cool. So musically, well, it stumbles and falls. Like how does that?
Definitely stumble and fall would be a very short staccato, abrupt ending.
Yeah. Awesome. Good. These are so good, you guys. Wow. All right, Pierre.
All right.
Mon ami, what do you have for me?
All right, it's stop and go. So it's me hesitating, vacillating. Should I call her? Should I text her? do I really want to go out with her? It's long overdue. It's time to get my life going here.
Oh, did he freeze?
Did we lose
Okay, and then
Pierre?
go.
Keep going.
Oh.
Sorry, you froze for a moment there.
Okay. And then second verse, I'm on my way. I did text her. I'm on my way to the restaurant. The stop and goes are just like the red lights and green lights. It's like, I'm doing this, and stop it. I'm going. And as the rhythm builds up,
Nice.
verse 3, my whole life has been too many stops and not enough goes. I think now this could be a beautiful start to a relationship. And I want, like Matthew McConaughey's memoir, more green lights. And I think this woman's going to pull me out, and it'll be more goes, less stops, more green lights. And there we go. So that's kind of it. So
Good for you. And there we go.
Yeah.
And there we don't stop. We go. Good. Awesome. Well, I have to say, these were great examples. Good job, you guys. Wow. Yeah. So I'm really excited to hear how you're recoloring. Like, it really works for me. That's great. So I wanted to put in the chat. I'm going to give you my email. It's Susan at jerseygirlmusic.com, because I am from New Jersey. And if you happen to write the song, please share it with me. I would love that. And obviously, if you have any additional questions, I'm also here for you as well. And I will give Chad a copy of the write-up that I did, also the 25 song prompts that you feel free to use, and also a link to my song Lies Between Lovers, and also Dry, which came out of the Words Are Like Water writing. All right.
Awesome. Well, Susan, thank you so much for joining us here. We really appreciate it. And yeah, this has been awesome. So thank you so much. And Susan, if you want to drop off, we'll just kind of finish up. But I just really thank you. Like,
thank you, Chad.
So
You
much.
guys are all wonderful. It was so nice to meet you. I'm so sorry that we're not in person. That's the only thing that makes me sad. But thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions, feel free to follow up with me. All right.
Awesome. Thanks, Susan.
Talk to you later. Bye, you
Thanks so much,
guys.
Susan.
Thanks, Susan.
Bye.